Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 572, and today we're doing battle with Braum, Gnar, Elder Dragon. And so, a handful of videos ago, we touched on our P&Z Warden of the Tribes deck. We're trying to use the Starlit Sanctum, whatever the new P&Z story is called, as a kind of pseudo ramp spell for the Warden of the Tribes. If you're able to updraft him into the deck, you can draw him later. He costs 8. You can get it down a turn earlier. But here in recent days, this Freylord Elder Dragon style of deck has been pushing its way up the ranks, and I'm very interested in how it plays out. The big difference between that ramp deck and the one that you have here with the Elder Dragon is going to be a much better ramp outlet in the Cloud Drake. And so what we're going to be looking to do here is have that same similar Freylordian early game plan to where we're using the Omen Hawk and the Snow Dog to boost the size of our units. We have a handful of interactivity cards with the likes of the Challengers and the Rhymefang Wolf Scholarly Pioneer, but after that we power through very, very powerful, very bigly powers that we're sending towards our opponents once we get up to the 6 mana space to where we get access to the Elder Dragon package. And so one of the cards I've been most impressed with that I was surprised to see come back to standard is the Ancient Yeti, one of the real highlights of power that can be used with the Elder Dragon. But again, we're mainly interested in using this Cloud Drake to make the Elder Dragon cheaper, and then we can play the make the Warden of the Tribes cheaper, which we can then play on turn 8. One of the interesting tech choices someone out there in the world figured out is the Beguiling Cobra. So each round, the first time you play another follower, you summon an exact copy of it. If your board is full, grant its stats and keywords to me instead. Turns out, Warden of the Tribes has a summon ability, so if we're going through this sequence to where we want to ramp using our Cloud Drake, we can play a Cloud Drake on 6, a Beguiling Cobra on 7, and then Warden of the Tribes on turn 8 to get the double bonus from this summon ability, just making our massive units even more massive. So very powerful ability set coming out of there. Last but not least, the spell package to be calling out here. I am getting more and more impressed with the flash freezes in this style of deck. They have the minor combos with our singular Rhymefang Wolf, but they are exceptionally strong against the opposing Elder Dragon decks. If your opponent plays a 6-drop and then they try to single combat off their 6-drop and you just counterspell everything with a flash freeze, it is exceptionally powerful. I like this quite a bit. And then some of the new technology coming about is going to be the Ice Shard. The key thing this is strong against is going to be the various Hecarim decks. If you're able to kill off all of your opponent's elusive boosted style units, gives you the edge you need to take those down to where we start out a little bit slower with our deck. And so that's it. That is what we're doing battle with today. Let's go ahead, jump on in with Eddie and the Yetis. See if we can't find ourselves a good game or two. Good stuff getting those Warden of the Tribes out here. It's been a real surprise to me that it was going to be such a mainstay of this current format, but it is one of the strongest ways you have access to countering the Elder Dragon, and so why not just play your own Elder Dragon, you know? if you can't beat him, then join him, you know? And so, as far as these starts go, we're going to be looking for Snow Dogs, we're going to look for Omen Hawks, and we're going to look for Yetis so that they can start cheapening up off of the first turn of the game. Picked up a little bit of everything here, a Singleton Lonely Poro, a Yeti, and a Snow Dog. Looks pretty decent to me. The only bummer with this hand, if you will, is that we are on the odd attack token, and so we're not going to be able to hit with these Snow Dogs until the mid-game, essentially. Let me see if we can't get the deck tracker up. It never seems to want to work on my machine, and so we'll load it up. Hey, there it goes. Go me. Go me. Good job, Bust. We got that thing up and running. Very professional now. Very professional. But let's get at it. Getting pretty heavy in the combos here. It was a bit unfortunate to have to cycle away that Cloud Drake in the early game. Very impressed with the things that it's able to do, but still reasonable early start here. If opponent wants to play a ramp spell, right, that's what the Volibear deck is pretty interested in doing, is playing the ramp spell on turn 3, then we are just going to start crushing in for tons of damage. It may be too much for them to recover from, and so we'll see how it goes. No ramp coming in, gets a defensive measure on board. I'm fairly fine with this if he wants to block our Poro with the Solari Priestess. Like, this is not a time for value, right? This is a time he needs to be out here not dying, and so getting that little bit of value for the opponent is not something I'm particularly worried about. Right, all right, more and more little friends turning up. The big thing for me now is, like, you just don't have to worry about Buried in Ice being a thing, and so there's no real hard punishes for us to come out here and just load up the board with everything that we have. You got to be playing Shadow Isles to really fight that game, and so we'll see how it goes. He has a singleton copy of Morgana. I'm not going to play around that. If he does have access to it, then it just kind of is what it is. What do we got here? Would probably just want to go with the Challenger. I don't think this is a matchup to where the tough is going to be super important. And it does let us get a good hook into this Solari Priestess. Well, I guess we have to hook the Traveler now. He's big enough to cause problems for some of our dogs.
It was my heart that led me here. Back, heretic. Believe
there
or
comes the
burn.
combat squad. Big old chunks of damage rolling through.
Return anew.
I'm not certain what recovery tools this deck's going to come at us with. Like, something like Avalanche would be pretty decent for the opponent on this turn. Otherwise, I don't think there's any real singular unit I'm worried about at the 7 mana space. I think we should be fairly safe to just keep on adding these big boys to the board. Let's kick in with the Poro Parade, though. I would like to see if our rando unit gives us a little bit of a better option than this 8/8 Ultra Soft Poro. the Ultra Soft Poro is ready for battle. I guess we got to see if opponent drops another unit here. You can say if he only has the one unit on board and we're able to crash in with that Poro, it's going to be pretty sweet. What do we got here? Nothing too incredible. The Fae is moderately interesting in that it's not a subtype that we've currently played. We have more reptiles and dragons throughout the deck. Otherwise, I don't think we want Bordier. We're never going to have the space for it or use the Frozen Thralls. The Barbara is probably the way to go if we don't care about the portal. We're not really struggling to fill out our board here. It seems like a reasonable place to just replace the landmark. So that's a big boy. Look at that. Look at that +5/+5 Poro. I don't have my emotes set up. What a rookie mistake. What a rookie move. Okay. Do we ever want to get the Cloud Drake on board here? I mean, again, there's nothing to really worry about in the sense that we're not going to get hit by like a Buried in Ice. So I think this is fine. I'm going to go with the Fearsome. As it stands, he doesn't have any potential fearsome blockers for this Cloud Drake, and so it does give some potential to just end the game. Womp womp. We'll leave the Yeti at home. I don't think it's going to be able to punch in for combat damage this turn. It's just too easy of a block with this stuff, and it's definitely going to be relevant in the upcoming turns. See if that Volibear comes down. It's not a bad board for him. He can kill a lot of the dudes that we have down here. We lose both of the dogs. Rip. Alright, Cobra, what you want? I guess we could have taken the heal. I honestly just looked at our health total and said, yeah, there's no reason to take the heal. But it's not the case. It could have been actually useful in terms of like getting better hooks in the face of this Cosmic Youngling. Now Eddie turns up. Why not? Why not, right? See if he's got another big removal spell. He did play a Sunburst, and he's played a Celestial Removal, whatever that thing is called. And so, I mean, he's got access to the Silence kills, and he's got access to Obliterates. There's a very real chance that Eddie doesn't survive the round. That it's always unfortunate. Oh, it only obliterates enemies. I'm used to seeing the oh, what's it called? The removal spell from Eradicate, and you're able to eradicate in on your opposing plays. But still seems okay. The Elder Dragon isn't lethal here. I'm sorry, the Volibear isn't lethal here. He's about to flip. He's 1 point of damage short from getting that.
The storm breaks all.
Do we have to block? I mean, the value in the block to me is we're going to come in for a big Overwhelm round, right? We're going to get double Saurions and then have Overwhelm with the Yeti double Saurion. So if he wants to block with the Volibear, it either has to go in front of the Cobra or in front of an Overwhelm unit. And that doesn't seem super ideal. So we're going to just go ahead and drop the Flash Freeze so Aurelion Soul doesn't flip. And now we can look to finish this off with the dragons. Oh, or look to finish things off with the Warden. What do you got? You can definitely give the Warden Deathless. It's if he dies and comes right back, he gets those additional summons in. And you say, look at these weak-ass units, bro. What's this weak shit you're trying to bring at us? Winter's Breath, no thank you, but Aurelion Soul out here looking like a bit of a bitch. LOL. That's what they call him out there, bitch boy Aurelion Soul. Can't do battle with the Cobras. Uh-oh. Oh no, are we not gonna lethal? Shit. God damn it. I guess we should have taken the hook on the Stellacorn. Out here calling him bitch boy Aurelion Soul. He gives us a bit of the business. Maybe this two-piece nugget will be enough with the enraged fire spitter. Are we just dead? Why did the game just do something? Why didn't we get to block? What just happened? Why did we lose that game? What's the what? Do I have to go and look up Volibear? He just like burst speed killed us. What the fuck was that? Volibear. Okay. The flipped side. Play or attack. Play Relentless Storm 3 times. Each one targets a different enemy. Yeah. 4 to a unit. If it's dead or gone, deal 2 to the enemy next. It's like, why did that burst speed kill us? We didn't get a chance to do anything. You just attacked and the game ended. That's fucking weird. Whatever. Whatever. On to the next one, they say. Just got us to that 6... Oh, we conceded. Okay. Our LP went up. I was like, I know we started the game at the 50s, and then I was like, nice, we're at 69, but that would have involved a win. So let's fix that. Let's fix that, boys. Get that updated on the old screen. 1-0. Now we're looking good. Okay, up against the Braum Formidables. Still going to be taking these same mulligans, right? We want the Omen Hawks, we want the Yetis, we want the Snow Dogs. See if we can't get an 8-8 Poro out here, show Braum what he's missing out on. Not bad. Not a bad day at the old office. Dr. D. More like Dr. D's, am I right? It's a D's nuts joke. In case you didn't get it. You know it's funny when you have to explain the joke, and so glad I could present that to you. Aito, not bad. He's got a little bit of a late Omen Hawk. Our Poro is grown. Should be bigger than whatever he's trying to present to us. On board. A little bit awkward with this start, though. I would definitely have preferred to have not be playing Ancient Yeti next turn, so we'll see what turns up. I would assume opponent does not have Sky Splitters in hand here if he's not going to send with his Petricite Charger. Come in and take the quicksand. I don't expect there to be any landmarks or any weapons that we're going to come in and remove. I guess it's not crazy to think that the opposing deck might have a it might have like weapon masters in it, but I don't think that's really worth chasing down. And then we could have looked to have, say, preemptively Explorer's Blundered to try and take the hits off of Balin or whatnot, but it doesn't seem super necessary to me. We can still battle through this round. So we get one Balin off the board, chunk down the other one. Okay, that looks good. The important thing here is to just not die, right? And so if we get to weaken up these Balins and start dropping our giant units, I'm still going to be still be feeling pretty good about this situation we're in. We got the combo in hand too. If you haven't seen it, look at that. We got the Cloud Drake into the Cobra, into the let's take Deathless, into the Warden of the Tribes. It's going to be sweet. Even on next turn, we should be able to Cobra into the free Yeti to get double Yetis on board. And then after that, we can look to just go ham. Just go huge. It's going to be sweet. Okay. I don't think we're dead. Like, it is a little worrisome that he could present like a rally for next turn, but I mean, champion strength's not in the game anymore, right? That's not the rally we're worried about these days. Cobra comes in, nothing to heal. I mean, this Cloud Drake block onto Galio is pretty strong all on its own. I mean, you got to assume they'll probably hook the Cloud Drake with. Are we just dead? Hang on. Did we need to Explorer's Blunder away a Formidable? 15 looks like 17 on board. Okay, that was a little sloppy. I was clouded by all this awesome shit that we're about to do, and once I saw the plays come in, I was like, oh fuck, this is about to get nasty, isn't it? I think everything's okay now, though. I guess this way we could end up dying to an Elixir of Iron. Let's just load up in front of Galio. Needing to come up with 4 is a lot more challenging to do. But yeah, a little sloppy. We should have put the Explorer's Blunder onto the Petricite Charger and then just never worried about how much damage was about to come in. But Fearsome looks pretty decent on this board. Now we're about to go ham, about to go big.
Magic goes in, might comes out. It is easy, see?
This is easy. See, Braum? Here it comes. we got with you? Guess we'll just take Challenger. He's going to be bigger than everything. LOL. It's pretty sweet, right? Okay, battle time. So, I mean, I guess there's a world to where we're not lethal here, right? If he has enough, if he has a harsh winds or something like we saw in that last game. But I think if we're gonna be real, it might be enough to not lose the game, but I don't think you can win the game after that. All right. GG. Game break. Push and continue. Come on, Riot. All right, battle number 3. Ooh, that's pretty sweet. I'm curious if like more reptiles are warranted, right? It's such a bad draw when you draw multiples of them, but it's still pretty good, even without the Warden, right? Just copying some of these big dragons is just strong enough on its own, and so I'm not certain what the big answer is there. All right, up against the old P&Z Poro King. I'm gonna have to just look at this deck list after the game. Like I mentioned it in the last video or the previous one, I don't remember which, that I don't get why these people are playing P&Z. It seems like a pretty horrible faction to be running with the Poro King. But there has to just be like one card, right? Like Forge Chief isn't it, Thermogenic Beam isn't it. Like I'm not certain what it is. We'll look at this guy's deck list after the game and see if I can't deduce it, but it sounds like garbage to me. Alright, we got all the unit boosts though. Whoever's on top's about to get +3/+3. That's pretty sweet. No complaints there. We got the Cloud Drake into Warden of the Tribes draw. It's still not a Warden of the Tribes until turn 9, which is a bit of a bummer, but I'm still happy enough with it, I think. It tends to be pretty decent against the Poros if they're not able to ramp up super hard. Look at that. The Ultra Soft Poro just loves to grow. This guy says, I'm here to fuck. Look at the stat line on this guy today. So if he comes in and attacks with the elusives, I'm not going to block this round. It should fairly obviously be a Poro Snacks if these elusives come in, and we should be able to get a slightly better one in the future. And so I think we'll stay at home with these guys. The Snow Dog, I think we can sit on as well. Like, it's not the place to where we super need the stats, but it's not going to hurt. Like, if we get the stats and then trade next turn, I don't think that 2 points of health is what this game's about to come down to. Now, the thing I'm curious about here is, like, I feel like we probably have to play the Saurion. Like, our hand just doesn't do anything if we don't get it on the board, but it is a real pain point on this next turn to not be able to play Flash Freeze and the Dragon, right? And so, we'll see how this plays out. He's down to 1 card in hand, so it's not super scary, whatever he's trying to do this turn. Like, he's just gotta hit. Like, he's got to hit Poro Snacks to take this down, I think. And so we can at least come in like that. A bit of a bummer with this board, I guess. And you got the top deck of the Snacks. It's not that bad. It's that. Oh, it does go straight to lethal. I was worried about that impact from the middle. All right. Give him an eye roll and move on to the next game. There's not much more you can do about that. We prevented maximum damage. So why are they playing these dumb cards, right? It's got the Beam and Maryam. Is that it? It's got formulas in it to draw cards. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. It just seems like there ought to be something better than that. It's like a lot of these decks just get off to the races because like one person plays it, and there's typically better versions of decks running around, but whatever content creator of the day put that list out and nobody bothers to go and update it or anything. That's kind of what strikes me as what's happening with the P&Z version of Poros. Like, now granted, I was never a real Poro commander. I didn't really play the deck back when it was actually strong, but it strikes me as very odd. Alright, though, up against Elite Elder Dragon, it looks like, with the Garen in here. And I think, like, I don't want to just hard mulligan for those 3 cards, right? For the bird, for the dog, and for the Yeti. But I think the Poro should be able to buy 7 health or so in this match, so we should probably still hang on to it. If we get to turn 6, I feel like we're going to be in pretty good shape. Uh-oh. No early drops from the old opponent. Let's see what Dum Dum comes down on turn 3. It's a Vanguard Sergeant. So do we want to hang on to the Ultra Soft Poro? Like, we're not going to get to gain any health if we drop it. It's like, I just wonder if we play the Nimble Poro if he still attacks. Like, I love seeing this attack. I want to get the block in with the little Poro. So then we either get the trade next turn with the Snow Dog, or he has to spend a spell. Like, if he spends a +2/+2 to get out in front of the Snow Dog, that feels like a bit of a win for us as well. Now with this, I guess we'll pick up the Explorer's Blunder. It's just there's not a ton of targets for the Blunder coming out of Elites. Yep, not a surprising sequence. We'll just keep our bigger unit around. We've got to fight through this one turn, and then we get to start dropping dragons. Seems like a decent place to be.
Still so much to learn. Charge!
That was it? Not gonna lie, fam, that was not impressive. not impressed by that sequence. So I'm leaning towards just targeting down the 2 challengers here. Fearsome's not gonna cut it in this match, so we'll take Deathless. And now we're back to having some pretty good attacks. He has a good blocker in the Vanguard Squire, but I have to imagine at this point, it's very much that space to where if you don't lose, you'll win. And I think that we should be able to fight through here. I'm surprised to see Garen come in with this block. Like, I don't think we really have to worry about combat tricks with him already playing 2 copies of the +2/+2. Like, sometimes they don't even play the full 3 copies of it. So otherwise, it's just going to be something like single combat coming at us. Someone says that's too much. Let's be real, that was not a particularly strong draw from the Elites. And they don't get to come on board until turn 3. It doesn't feel very good. But one of the things I've been considering and wanting to do is play Elites with the Wingsgiving, right? And so the idea being is you have a handful of ways to give your units +1/+1, right? You're having those granted bonuses from the Battlesmith. There's some other way to give granted bonuses to elite units, and then you have good Wingsgiving targets like the bird, right? The whatever Storm Chaser Bird, whatever the fuck it's called, that the opponent just played on us. And so, like, you get that the double elites, and they maybe get a bonus, but then it's like a 4-cost unit to where you get some interactivity, and a good Wingsgiving target. And so, it's one of those decks to where if the Elder Dragon wasn't around, it would probably have the chance to be real. But Elites has a serious problem with ever beating the Elder Dragon decks, and so it's probably just never going to be real until he rotates. Alright, not entirely certain what Nora is trying to do today. I went with the Explorer's Blunder because it does give us an opportunity to answer the second Nora, or whatever they're trying to do after the fact here gives us a chance to get out in front of it. The downside that we're going to have is if he plays the Wingsgiving, right? And so we could have potentially gone for the Landmark Destruction. Just to me, there's not any real way to tell what this opponent's trying to do as the Wingsgiving comes down. Maybe at this point we should just assume that every Bandle City deck's playing the Wingsgiving, which is probably the right call. It's probably the right thing to do. Glad we got to get out in front of this Paka Cup, though. I was surprised he didn't attack just to take the free unit. So we'll take our scout attack. I mean, things seem okay-ish. We're getting to the point where we're about to start dropping dragons, and we aren't that close to dead. We're about to start banking up a little bit of mana here, so that we can interact as we play our big boys. Like, I think this is a reasonable enough place to be. Oh, we're about to get dumpstered on, though, aren't we? Why would he play the Portal Pioneer? Is it really that important to take down our scout equipment? Alright, so we're at least kind of safe. If he's just going tall with the one big unit, we have double flash freeze now. We have the Explorer's Blunder to take off Overwhelm or whatnot, whatever comes on after this. Like, this seems like a pretty decent space to be in. We just gotta make it to turn 9 and get the Warden going. There's going up to I couldn't tell if that was his +1 or his +2. The landmark went away, so this should be going from a 7 to a 9. Bright Steel Protector, sure. Does this make exact copies? Yep. Alright, but that flash freeze will fall off after this round, and so we're gonna be hurting after that. Kind of deathless. I don't know if we're gonna be big enough after this. Look at them big boys. At least the thing with the Bright Steel formations is they don't have Overwhelm. So we might actually be able to fight through this a little bit. Like, it's going to be very challenging for him to actually kill us on the next turn. I don't know if we can do it without our COBRA combo, though. Right, Warden of the Tribes is only passing out +4/+4, so he's not really presenting a massive threat. But yeah, I mean, I think at this point, this is the way that we just have to think about these Bandle City decks. Is you just assume anytime you see Bandle City, they're playing the Wingsgiving. Like I think that that's probably, even if you're looking at say something like Vex, right? That it's probably just another. Like even playing Vex is probably just another Wingsgiving deck, and so like while I still think these malmutations are fairly garbage, it was probably a pretty big mistake in there to not go for the what you call it, to not go for the landmark destruction. Right, we can deal with portals, but we can't deal with just letting him go hog wild with the malmutations. Did we overwrite an Omen Hawk? That might have been a bit of a mistake. I would definitely rather have an Omen Hawk than have a Yadulski Snow Dog in this point. Right, because now we're just going to die to the Bright Steels. Okay, GG. And so yeah, it's not to say that we would have won that game had we not taken the landmark destruction, but I think that that's probably just the mindset you have to be in anytime you see Bandle City. It's just like, well, this is a Wingsgiving deck. I mean, I still stand by the Wingsgiving just being arguably the strongest card in the game. Like it's up there with the Elder Dragon, and it's one of those things to where it's going to be tough going forward, knowing that Riot has no intention of ever like altering any of the cards, which isn't that bad all in its own. But like whenever I see a card like the Wingsgiving or I see a card like the Elder Dragon, to where Riot says we're reluctant to release cards into PvP because we're designing them for PvE and we don't plan to balance anything in the future, then it's like, well, what are you ever going to do about the Elder Dragon and cards like the Wingsgiving? Are you just going to rotate them to Eternal and never bring them back to Standard? Like that's they're just going to be banished to Eternal, and that's just going to be shitty times for Eternal players 33% of the time, or will some kind of balancing ever eventually happen? I don't know. It's just so strange to me, the outlook that Riot's taking for the future of the game. Although, as I am on this tangent, I think once I've kind of wrapped my head around that the game is Path of Champions and then PvP is just like the bonus format, that it makes a little bit more sense. It doesn't make sense that they won't release PvE cards into release the PvE cards into PvP, but it's like PvP is the Twisted Tree Line or the ARAM of the current state of the game, and they we'll get some kind of update once a year, but it's not the actual forefront or focus of the game. Like I don't feel like Riot ever says, I'm not releasing this champion in this state into the game because it's going to fuck with ARAM. And so like if they're going to just operate that way in League, like you just release some ranged hyper carry and she just fucks up ARAM for the next 6 months. Like I don't feel like they ever make that decision. And so if that's going to be the case with like their main game and everything else they do, why would they be uncomfortable releasing the PvE cards into PvP when there's stuff like the Wingsgiving and the Elder Dragon running around that completely warp everything about the format? I don't know. But nonetheless, this deck itself, I like it. I definitely like it much more than the P&Z Warden of the Tribe offering that we presented before. I definitely like this space of being able to use the Cloud Drakes into the Warden of the Tribes. Getting that Elder Dragon bonus on this stuff is quite good. And if we're going to be real, we're already just playing the majority of the cards we were out of that P&Z version anyways. There were a handful of like shitty Poros that we included in the deck just to flesh out the subtypes, but at the end of the day, like this Cloud Drake into Warden is exceptionally good. And the question that I would have with this, the thing that would really make me wonder, is you have a couple of options in here, right? I feel like you may want to include a second Beguiling Cobra. Like It felt like in some of the games it was overkill, but like in that last game, it would have actually been spectacular. And so maybe drawing a second Cobra isn't that bad. Just to, right? Would you rather have the game go to where you draw 0 Cobras or you draw 2 Cobras? Like the answer to that might be closer to draw 2 than to draw 0. And so you have a bit of an option to help push it up there. Otherwise, probably as this format progresses and people figure out more and more how busted the Wingsgiving is, probably find the space to take the Rhymefang Wolf out and put the third copy of Scholarly Pioneer in. But after that, I think I feel pretty good about a lot of the numbers in here. I still really like the Horned Swarmcallers and the Enraged Fire Spitters. The Ancient Yetis coming in on the cheap is pretty spectacular. We didn't get to show off the Ice Shard in this one, but that's another very reasonable spell as well that probably still maintains a place in this deck once you start playing against Hecarim or playing against Fiora that we didn't see today. The Ice Shard will make itself much more readily important. But nonetheless, good set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way. You had a good time watching. This is Bust to Me. Thank you for being here.